have taken some amount of time from 80 to 82, then 82 to 84. But suddenly after 84, if large scale flight of capital happens, suddenly it will slip to 85 or 86, and then there may be different levels. Different investors may be having different levels of psychological levels. Some may be waiting at 85. Okay, that okay, if it touches 85, then we will leave. So it will touch 85. So suddenly it may fall to 90. Then after 90, it may more number of investors may be waiting at that level. Then large number of investors will be waiting at 100. वहाँ से निकलेगी तो रुपये फिर बहुत so what is it? So now RBI, that's why RBI would do what? RBI knows that okay, if we allow this to happen, then we would enter into a very vicious cycle and rupee can crash to very very low levels also. So that is why RBI would make all its efforts to contain rupee at near about this level कि ये situation आए ही ना. Okay, in short term. ऐसा नहीं कि रुपये कभी 84 टच नहीं करेगा, but suddenly in 3 months it moved from 80 to 82, and another 3 months it moved from 82 to 83, and then it is making so what suddenly a lot of things have happened. But if through the efforts of RBI, if RBI would be able to contain rupee at the level of 83 point something, 83 point something for let's say 1 year, 1.5 year, after that even if it touches 84, because now markets will be factoring this thing in that sooner or later it will touch 84 also. But after that, when it will touch 84, maybe 85 will become a new psychological level, but if it has happened gradually. So that's why initially when rupee will show sharp movements, RBI start moving, taking the effort somewhere here. They would like to take efforts not to allow rupee to touch to 84 level, and that RBI has been doing for long term, for a good period of time. In 2022, we moved into the range of 80s. Earlier we were in 70s, 78, 77. Suddenly in 2022 we moved in the range of 80s. We breached the level of 80, 81, 82. But for a good part of 22, 23, 24, this is 24 going on, RBI or rupee has been maintained at that level. Okay, 82, 83, 82, 83, 81, 82, 83. We have been moving in that range only. It's now only recently that rupee has started touching 84 also. Okay, that is the historic lows of rupee against the dollar. We have started touching or breaching 84 level also. So, but it will not create a big panic now. But still, RBI is making all the efforts. Maybe because this is not done very publicly. That if RBI would be intervening, it will not be done very publicly. Like in the newspaper, you will read today RBI released these many dollars. ऐसे नहीं करते हैं because it is considered as a kind of manipulation by other nations. So we don't want to be so publicly seen. But it is speculated that RBI would have done it. कि reserves कम हुआ, रुपये वहाँ पर maintain हुआ, तो RBI would have done that thing. Yes. हाँ उसको भी कहते हैं, फिक्स को भी कहते हैं. हाँ तो in the fixed currency also, हाँ more dirty, but they call it currency manipulation. China is very regularly they are accused of currency manipulation. China को तो बोलते ही हैं that China resorts to currency to fixed exchange rate. वो तो that is also manipulation only. They are not concerned. They are concerned about their currency. They want that if, and it's not that they are always going to criticize it. They are going to criticize it when it is going against their interests. Okay, US as India manipulate करेगा तो US will talk about it, though they can't do anything. Means currency manipulation, if the countries are doing it, you can only show your displeasure or your complaint that this currency is doing currency manipulation. There is no mechanism actually to restrict that thing. कि आप WTO में बोल सकते हो, ये सब कर सकते हो, but there is no such mechanism. If you have to do it, you can do it. Okay, but yes, it creates a pressure. If you're doing it too much, other country can retaliate. They can increase their import duties or whatever they want to do. There is no mechanism to restrict. Yes, but one peer pressure is formed. If you're doing it too often and other countries are too often complaining against you, kind of create that. Okay, so this is the reason that RBI takes the depreciation very seriously to retain the foreign investors here only. So when rupee will see a sudden fluctuation from 80 to 82 or 82 to 83, RBI would give a lot of statements in the markets that, and RBI has given that last year, RBI keeps on saying that sometimes on the public platforms. RBI means RBI governor. So they would say that Okay, rupee may be witnessing a big fluctuation, but nobody has to be afraid of it because we have enough of reserves in our foreign exchange reserves. We have enough of foreign exchange there, and our intention is also there that we are not going to allow rupee to fall to very, very low levels. We are not going to allow large scale depreciation of rupee. So it would give faith to the investors that ठीक है rupee touch कर रहा हो 84, but RBI is also taking its efforts. So even so they would, so जब पता है कि यहाँ touch किया फिर वापस चला जाए, so they are not going to exit if RBI gives them this kind of assurance. ठीक है, इससे क्या होता है investors को हम लोग we try to give faith to the investor. That's why depreciating currency can be a very dangerous thing. Okay, it can scare away your investors, and other problems are also there that it will make your imports costlier. Costly imports means inflation also. वो सब तो है ही. In addition to that, these scaring away of investors is a very big factor in the depreciating currency. So these kind of fears will not be there when we are talking about fixed exchange rate system, because the investor would know that he has invested $1, he will get 8 yuan, and after he has invested, yuan is not going to depreciate too much, so it's not a big concern for them. But in the countries in which currencies are witnessing large scale fluctuations, it can be a thing of concern. Investors may not be that eager to invest in that kind of country, right? So that's why this is a big advantage here, China's. That is one of the big advantage of fixed exchange rate system, that it helps to attract the foreign investors. Another advantage here is that in this system there is a provision of devaluation. Devaluation of the currency is used as a tool to make the exports competitive in the global markets. For now, actually there is a difference between, technical difference between devaluation and depreciation, but for now just try to see it like depreciation only. I'll just, after some time I will tell you the difference. Depreciation, so when the depreciation of the currency happens, what happens? Depreciation of the currency means what? Okay, your imports, your exports, they become cheaper. Depreciation of the currency make your exports cheaper. So devaluation also makes your exports. So there is a, in the fixed exchange rate system, the governments, they can artificially depreciate, which is called as devaluation. So they can devalue their currency, and by doing that, their exports, they become cheaper in the global markets. Cheaper means more competitive. So this is also the advantage, and this is also said for China, that China artificially devalues its currency and it takes advantage in the exports because of that. So this is the thing. Okay? So fixed. So this is the advantage. Disadvantage. Disadvantage of the system is that the government or the central bank has to maintain a huge foreign exchange reserve to defend the system. The government or the central bank has to maintain a huge reserve, because in this system you have to maintain it at that level. So if your currency is showing depreciating pressure, you'll have to release dollars constantly. So you need to have a huge reserves with you if you want to defend the parity. So this is a big challenge or disadvantage, you can say, for this system. Okay? Now the third system, India's managed float system. Managed float system advantage. reduced advantage of this system is that there is a reduced exchange rate volatility. In comparison to the free float reduced exchange rate volatility in comparison to the free float exchange rate system. So disadvantage of this system is the same one. The central bank or the government has to maintain a large, not huge in this case, large foreign exchange reserve to, because here we have to manage the currency, not defend the currency, defend the parity. So advantage, reduced exchange rate volatility in comparison to the free float exchange rate system. So volatility बहुत huge था, so because here there is a provision of management of the currency by the RBI, intervention by the RBI. So in this system, it would experience less volatility. ठीक है? Shreya Dikshit, why did India not adopt fixed exchange rate system as it attracts more FDI? Yes, because we have to look at pros and cons. Pros and cons, like why didn't we go for fixed exchange rate system? Like we were discussing earlier also, to maintain that system we have a depreciating currency, we'll have to use a lot of our foreign exchange reserves, so it may put a lot of pressure on our reserves, foreign exchange reserves. That's why we have not opted for that kind of system. Now let's talk about what is the difference between depreciation versus devaluation. Okay, though technically both of them mean the same thing. Depreciation means fall in the value of the currency relative to some other currency. Devaluation also means the same thing, fall in the value of a currency relative to some other currency. Then what is the difference here? Difference is like the context. Like the free float, in the free float system and in the managed float system, when a currency falls in value, we call it depreciation. Why? Because it happens because of the market forces. So depreciation happens because of the market forces. Fine. Whereas devaluation is used, the word devaluation is used in the context of fixed exchange rate system. Like in case of China, if the yuan is going to fall in value against the dollar, we would not call it depreciation. We would call it devaluation. Why? Because it cannot happen according to the market forces. Because fixed exchange rate system means currency does not behave according to the markets. It behaves according to the government, like how they want it to be placed at. So actually parity can be changed. Fixed parity can be changed. That is called as dip. So suppose from $1 equals to 8 yuan, the Chinese now want to bring it down to $1 equals to 10 yuan. So this bringing of currency from $1 8 yuan to $1 equals to 10 yuan would not be called as depreciation of yuan, we will call it devaluation of yuan. And why there is a difference? Because this devaluation would not happen on its own. It will not happen according to the market forces. It happened because government did it deliberately. How would they do it deliberately? if they want to bring $1.08 yuan to $1 equals to 10 yuan, what they have to do? They have to excessively print the yuan. So they would print the yuan excessively and bring down the exchange rate of yuan against the dollar from $1.08 yuan earlier to $1 equals to 10 yuan. So we would say because they have deliberately done it, because it is not to the market that which can decide what price yuan would be against the dollar. It is decided by the government. So if they bring the value down deliberately by printing more yuan, it will be called as devaluation. And it is done consciously or deliberately. And why do they do it? Chinese, why do they devalue their currency? To take advantage in the exports, which is called as manipulation. So that is why the other countries say that the China, they keep on devaluing their currency. So this is called as currency manipulation. They say Chinese, they regularly manipulate their currency. Okay? This is the difference, devalue. So in our case, rupees case, we don't call it devaluation, we call it depreciation. In case of China, we call it devaluation. ठीक है, आपने पहले सुना होगा that in 1991 we devalued rupee, or in 1966 rupee was devalued. We say that because at that time we were following the fixed exchange rate system. Okay, so we had to devalue our currency in 1966 and 91. We say that we call it devaluation because at that time, before 1991 or till 1991, we were following the fixed exchange rate system. But now we have managed float system, so we don't use the word devaluation anymore. We use the word depreciation, appreciation. Okay. So let's write it down here. Free float exchange or the managed float. Depreciation, appreciation, devaluation, depreciation and appreciation, these are market determined, whereas devaluation, revaluation, these are done. These are done deliberately by the devaluation, revaluation. They are not market driven, they are done deliberately by the government. For example, $1 1 USD equals to INR, sorry, not INR, 1 USD equals to $8 yuan. From here it falls to 1 USD equals to 10 yuan. So this is called as devaluation of yuan. This will not be called as depreciation, it will be called as a devaluation because it is done deliberately by the government. And why? Because of depreciation, appreciation. It makes your exports costlier. The same thing will be replicated by devaluation also. It makes your exports cheaper and your imports and it is for this reason that China goes for devaluation of its currency. Fine, so this was about the currency related topics here. Shreya Dikshit can a country also manipulate the GDP growth rate? Yes, we can't call it manipulation, but GDP, all these things are statistical based things. Okay, GDP calculation, it depends upon what has been your sample size, because you're not measuring each and every production that has happened. So there's a way of calculating the GDP, because of which there can be differences in the GDP growth rate numbers which are projected by different agencies. वो सब होता है. So there can be, we can't say it manipulation, but there can be differences in the formula of GDP. Okay, how you are calculating the GDP, there can be differences in that. So which can bring in the difference. Suppose IMF may give a different number. Okay, World Bank may give a different number. What you are calculating yourself may be a little different, but they are not very. Huge differences are not there. Small differences can be there because how you are doing the calculation. उसके basis पे. क्योंकि actually तो हम लोग नहीं कर रहे ना. ये तो सब हम लोग क्या करते हैं? Big sample space है. We try to calculate data from as many sources as possible. उसका जो वो है, उसका अनुसार हम लोग उसको निकालते हैं. तो broadly it can give you a broad number. वो precision इतना exact नहीं हो सकता है, क्योंकि they are not measuring something very precise. Broadly, yes, but it gives an idea. Okay, कि अगर कोई 6.8 बोल रहा है, आपका 7.2 हो सकता है, 7.1 हो सकता है, ठीक है? कोई ऐसा नहीं होगा कि कोई नेगेटिव में बोल रहा है तो आपको बहुत पॉजिटिव में ऐसा चला गया. There can be no such difference. Okay, differences not on that scale, but yes, small differences can be there. Fine. So this was about currency. Now, relating to currency, you should follow a few things. Few things means the developments happening globally. Okay, there are few developments regarding the currencies which are happening globally. You can write the words, keywords. You have to look out for articles relating to that, because they keep coming. Like articles on what? What are the big, you can say, events in terms of currency globally? First is de-dollarization. Okay, one important theme is de-dollarization. You have to, if articles are coming on these topics, try to read those. A lot of articles are coming, आते रहते हैं. De-dollarization. De-dollarization, and another one is parallelly another thing which is happening is, for in the context of India, de-dollarization and internationalization of. So these two big events which we can keep a track of. De-dollarization. What does it mean? De-dollarization. Like we know that up till now, from the World War II till this time, dollar has been the most dominant currency globally for international economic transactions. Dollar has been the most dominant, most acceptable currency for global economic transactions. But now the dominance of dollar is in question. Like there are countries, especially major countries like China, Russia, they are now challenging the domination of dollar. They are saying that why should dollar be that powerful, okay, that acceptable? Why can't we go for other currencies as well? Okay, other currencies should also be promoted. And de-dollarization simply means we are not saying dollar would be totally sidelined in very short amount of time. It will not happen that suddenly. But at least the discussion has started. Okay, the countries, they have started trading in other currencies as well on a more larger scale than before. Like if we are trading with Russia, then we are trading means if we are purchasing oil from them. Earlier they agreed to take rupees from us in exchange of crude oil. Then after that, because it was creating a lot of problem for them, because what would they do with the rupee which they have collected, billions of rupees, because nobody will accept rupee from them. So then after that it was decided that let's agree on yuan, Chinese currency. Because of the Russia-Ukraine war, Russia has been barred from using the dollars. ठीक है, उनके जो फॉरेन एक्सचेंज में डॉलर्स थे वो भी रिस्ट्रिक्ट कर दिया है और ये सब भी. So they are looking for other currencies. like yuan or ruble or some other currency. So that's why BRICS summit is going on right now in Russia. BRICS summit. In that BRICS summit, this is also an issue. In last BRICS summit also they talked about it. This BRICS summit also, especially it is led by Russia and China. They are floating this idea of coming out with a BRICS currency. Okay, so BRICS currency means de-dollarization only. So BRICS currency means there should be. India is not looking very like enthusiastic about this idea as of now. Okay, we are happy with the dollar right now, and if so, अभी हम लोग BRICS currency के इतने favor में नहीं है. मतलब try to keep track of these things. That what can de-dollarization do to global economy, what it can do to dollar, what it can do to rupee, and what it can do to our economy. It is going to be beneficial for us, detrimental for us. So abhi the idea is very young right now. We have to see the outcome of it. But de-dollarization simply, obviously it would mean growing downward significance of, declining significance of dollar. That is called as a de-dollarization. So when the significance goes down or demand goes down, the value of dollar will also come down eventually over a period of time. I'm not saying right now, over a period of time. That's why it may have an effect on your foreign exchange reserves also. So if you are keeping your reserves too much in the dollars, then your overall valuation may come down. That's why the central banks globally, they are purchasing a lot of gold also nowadays. And even the RBI has purchased off late. RBI has used some of its foreign exchange to purchase a lot of gold also. And central banks globally, they are doing it. So these are the themes. Internationalization of rupee means India is also pushing our own currency also, rupee, for as a medium of international economic transactions. We are also trying that. With a lot of countries, we have made a lot of deals. With Russia, we try to trade in terms of rupees for some time. So, and with other countries also, we can do the same. And it would be more fruitful. Rupee transactions would be more fruitful with the countries with which we have a bilateral trade. Like trade going on both ways. Like with Russia, our trade was largely one-sided. That we were purchasing very high value item from them, which is crude oil, and we had very little to export to them. So rupee trade could not be very much fruitful there, because now what would they do with the rupee? If trade was happening both ways, they could have used it to purchase items from India. So rupee would have again come to India, so circulation would have continued. So we are trying to do it like with UAE. We are trying it, that we have made a deal with them that we would be trading in terms of rupee and dirham. Dirham is their currency, UAE's. So we are doing it. With Sri Lanka, we did something. India is promoting its UPI also. Okay, when UPI means what? It will also contribute in internationalization of rupee. कि आप आसपास के किसी country में जा रहे हैं as a tourist, so you can use the UPI there, so you can use our own rupee there. So it will have advantages. So it will popularize, or it will make rupee a little more. We are not saying rupee will come in comparison to big currencies, but yes, at least in our neighborhood or with some other friendly nations with whom we are having good trade relations, their rupee can be promoted, so the significance of dollar will come down. तो इससे बहुत फायदा होगा हमें, ठीक है? So that will be a good thing for us if we are able to promote that. So these are big events which have now, they are in very young stage, but it is going to take a big stage in the times to come. So ये words को keep a track of these words. India introduced RuPay card in many countries, including Iran. Would a currency appreciate? It will not appreciate that suddenly, but gradually it will make rupee a little more acceptable, and when that happens, it will start. Okay, हमकी dollar की dominance कम होगी. Suppose अगर हमको, if for oil, if we are using most of the country, like Iran is also under sanctions, so like of US. So if we start purchasing oil from Iran, and Iran also gives us that concession that you can purchase oil from us in terms of rupees. तो अगर ऐसे बहुत सारा तो dollar का, so those many dollars will not be required. So rupee will dominate dollars? No, rupee is not going to dominate dollars. It's a far-fetched dream for now. Rupee तो हम तो बहुत पीछे हैं, हम तो exporting nation भी नहीं है. We are not, so we can't. We can just, when we are saying talking about internationalization of rupee, that means our reducing dependence on dollars or foreign exchange. That means internationalization. So that will be a little more. Okay, it would be a better thing on many aspects. But right now we are not. Though we are favoring internationalization of rupee, but we are not in much favor of BRICS currency. as of now. As of now, we are more we are more comfortable with the dollar right now in comparison to the BRICS currency. But yes, internationalization, we are pushing for that. A lot of good articles are coming in. Maybe I don't know in Hindu if it has come. In the BRICS, this idea was again floated about the BRICS currency. Pramod क्या कह रहे हैं? What is preventing other developed and big economies currency in becoming a global currency as dollar is? There are many factors for it. Why dollar is the most powerful currency, most acceptable currency? There are many factors. The biggest factor is that after the World War II, US emerged as an economic powerhouse, as a political powerhouse. Okay, because of which it pushed the dollar in a very big manner. Means it asked because of its dominance, economic and political dominance. It asked all the oil producing countries, all these Middle Eastern countries, Saudi Arabia and all, it asked them that if you want to trade oil, you should do it in terms of dollars. Okay? When it pressurized all these major oil producing countries to trade in terms of dollars, and oil is a very high value item. Every country purchases the oil, and this is the major item of imports in most of the countries globally. So if all the oil would be traded in dollars, the dollar would become the most acceptable currency. Okay, so that was one of the move by the US, and that's why this name has this term came into the market, petrodollars. Petrodollars means $8 because its significance because of the petroleum and everything. It became very dominant, and now just a minute. Okay, now why other countries are not able to do it? Because it is about the comfort and acceptability, and everyone, all the traders globally, they're more comfortable. So it will take a lot of effort to break that inertia. तो चला आ रहा है डॉलर, सबको एक्सेप्टेबल है, तो कोई यूरो क्यों ले? या यूरो भी अच्छा खासा एक्सेप्टेबल है, स्पेशली इन द ट्रेड विद यूरोप एंड ऑल. बट स्टिल ग्लोबली डॉलर इज द नंबर वन बिकॉज नोबडी वुड रिफ्यूज अ डॉलर. अगर आप एक एक्सपोर्टर है, एंड इफ अदर कंट्री, सपोज यू हैव एक्सपोर्टेड इट टू थाईलैंड समथिंग, एंड थाईलैंड दे आर सेइंग, वहां पे जो इंपोर्टर है, दे आर सेइंग दैट वी विल पे यू इन थाई बाट इज देयर करेंसी, और वी शुड पे यू इन डॉलर्स. सो विल से ऑफ कोर्स इट शुड बी डॉलर्स. हम क्या करेंगे थाई बाट का? ओके, सो इट विल गेट डिफिकल्ट फॉर अस टू एक्सचेंज इट. सो इफ वी आर गेटिंग द डॉलर्स, everyone would go for dollars only, will be more acceptable. But yes, if because of the intervention of the government and they are trying to promote something, incentivize or incentivize something, and they are asking the exporters and importers to do certain things, maybe they would accept some other currencies also, because हमको तो क्या करना है, हमें एक्सपोर्ट करना है, जो भी करेंसी आएगी we have to get it converted into rupee only. अगर गवर्नमेंट बोलेगी ये भाट ले लो या कुछ ले लो, ये कर लो, तो हम वही ले लेंगे. हमें क्या है, हमें तो we have to convert it to. It depends on the ecosystem how it is behaving, because with dollar I will face no difficulty. Okay, as soon as dollar comes in, I will be able to convert it into rupee very conveniently. And okay, other financial institutions, they are also asking for these dollars and all. That is why. So it is the acceptability of the dollar which makes it the most strong currency. But maybe it is not going to go away anytime soon. So it will not happen that quickly, because there is a system which is going on. So unless there is some. And that is why, and US is also taking de-dollarization very seriously, especially the upcoming means candidate for the presidentship, Mr. Trump. Okay, so he has said it very categorically that actually he will be heavily protectionist if he comes to the power. Already he has given those signs that I will impose these kind of duties, I will do this and that, and he has said it for currencies also, that he said that any country which is going to promote de-dollarization, and we will put 100% duty on their imports, ऐसा करके कुछ उन्होंने, he said it. That means US is also recognizing this threat, that yes, it can be. Any effect on India if Kamala Harris comes to become? Kamala Harris chances are less now, I think. What is the latest this thing says? Latest means that Trump is a little ahead right now. We don't know what happens, but he will be highly protectionist. Like what happens to India or what impact on us, but globally protectionism he's going to promote that. He will be, and his direct attack will be on Chinese goods and all. Let's see how it turns out. So these are the terms. ये सब topics जो है ना, these are good topics for mains. PT में भी आ सकता है, but mains के लिए अच्छे topics हैं कि de-dollarization and its impact on Indian economy or in the rupee. oh, it is good or bad for us, internationalization of rupee, good or bad for us. So I did not give you any concrete numbers thing here because it is an ongoing concept. So what I am saying is, if you get some good articles on it, broad picture now, if you have it in your head, okay, broadly what is happening. So usko make some pointers कि आप कुछ अच्छा कोई article आता है तो, because it is an evolving concept, we don't know मतलब exactly what are the pros and cons and क्या होगा. Possibilities are there, both positive side, negative side. So keep a track of these things. These are the larger issues which are now building up. So maybe by the end of the next year, मेंस में ये क्वेश्चंस आ जाए, ठीक है. इंटरनेशनलाइजेशन, डॉलर इंडिया. चलिए, now let's start a new topic which is called as balance of payments. Very important topic, very important for your understanding of macroeconomics also and for the exam also, because here this chapter deals with our external sector in terms of economy, okay, like our trade, economic relation with the outside world, balance of payments. And what exactly is BOP? Suppose we talk about economic transactions. Economic transactions of a nation with the outside world. You can talk about such economic transactions like imports coming in, exports going out, investments coming in the form of FDI, FP, investments going out, loans given or taken, etc. Economic transactions of a nation with the outside world. They can be of these types, like imports coming in, exports going out, investments in the form of FDI, FPI coming in, going out, loans received, loans given, remittances received, remittances given. So ये सब अगर transactions हो रहा है, so what will be the outcome? All these transactions which are happening, effectively what they are doing, any transaction which is happening with the outside world, what is it doing? Either it is bringing in the dollars or money, or it is taking out the money or the foreign exchange or dollars, because most of the, okay, so any economic transaction which is happening, economic transaction means flow of money, and either the dollar is coming in or the dollar is going out. Dollar means any money, euro, dollar, pound, rupee, whatever. Either the money is coming in or the money is going out. Any transaction that we have with the outside world, it brings in money and it takes out money. So at the end of the year, okay, all these, okay, like inflows, outflows, inflows, outflows. So after all these, after the end of the year, we want to see, okay, for this financial year, we were the net receivers of foreign exchange or we were the net losers of foreign exchange. Because if money is coming in and going out, coming in, going out, then one of these things will happen. Either we would be the net receiver of foreign exchange or we will be the net losers of foreign exchange. For that, for this year we received $50 billion, or for this year we lost $10 billion. Lost means there was a net outflow of $10 billion. So we want to see that. So what we do is, we make a systematic record of all the economic transactions of a nation with the outside world in one financial year. Systematic record means all the records, imports, exports, remittance, loans given or taken, investments coming in, going out, any like donations received, donations given, international. So for that we need to make a systematic record of all the economic transactions of a nation with the outside world in one financial year. That systematic record is called as balance of payments. Okay, so BOP is what? It is nothing. In very simple terms, it is a systematic record of any economic transaction, any money which has come in, any money which has gone out of the country. So it is a systematic record of that. Systematic record of any economic transaction a nation is having with the outside world in one financial year. It is called as balance of payments, BOP record or balance of payments. So ये क्या कर रहा है? It is recording each and every transaction which we are having with the outside world. And when we are saying systematic record, why are we saying that? Systematic means because we have a set format of recording all these things. All these transactions which are happening here, every single money which has come in and gone out, it is recorded in the balance of payment in a very set format. There is a set format. In that format, each and every transaction is recorded. And that's why we are saying it is a systematic way of recording the transactions. So there is a set format according to which all the transactions are recorded. Set format means, we will talk about that later, that we have this current account transactions. In the current account, we have visible transactions, invisible transactions. Then we have capital account transactions in which we have export, in which we have investments and loans, etc. So this is definite, set way of, there is a set format according to which we record all these transactions. And this set format has been given by, we have a format which has been, we follow the format given by the IMF, International Monetary Fund. Given by the IMF, International Monetary Fund, and the format that IMF has given us is called as BPM. I'll dictate that. BPM 6. BPM 6, Balance of Payment Manual 6. So we in India, we follow the format given by IMF. And one more thing, that all the figures in the balance of payments, they are recorded in terms of dollars, US dollars, USD. To be numbers, all the figures in the BOP are expressed in terms of USD, not in terms of rupees. So final BOP which we prepare is given in terms of dollars, USD. And you will say why? Because that is a convention. This is how we do it, right? So this is the BOP. So now a very important thing here is, and I may have told you before also, that we have to treat the definitions very seriously. We don't take definitions casually. Definitions can be asked in UPSC PT also, and it can be asked in your mains also. Sometimes we think too much of UPSC and we believe that UPSC is going to ask only very tough questions and everything, but ऐसा नहीं है. The purpose is not to give you very tough questions. The purpose is not to test you how much of economics you know, how much of science you know, how much of this and that you know. Because that is not the purpose. You are not tested here for being an expert of economics or being an expert of science and tech or being an expert of polity. हम experts थोड़ी है. They just want us to know. They just want to know that are we aware of the broad events which are happening around. हमें पता होना चाहिए. हम कोई साइंस, अगर हम स्पेस में एक आधा आंसर कर भी देंगे तो हम कोई स्पेस का साइंटिस्ट थोड़ी बन जाएंगे. ओके, यार न्यूक्लियर का हमको विल डू इट, और इकोनॉमिक्स, वी आर जस्ट, हमें पता होना चाहिए कि इसरो कुछ कर रहा है जो हमारी लाइफ में इफेक्ट करेगा. ओके, हमारे सोशियो इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट में कंट्रीब्यूट करेगा. इट इज एन इम्पोर्टेंट एजेंसी. हाउ इट इज कंट्रीब्यूटिंग मेजरली, broadly. Okay, we'll not become like space scientists, okay, by having 4-5 classes, 2-3 classes of space technology. Well, that is not expected. वो impractical है. ठीक है, so we have to be thinking on very practical grounds that what UPSC is demanding from us, and if we can get to know that, so we will prepare in a much better way and will be much better oriented. So all this happens because we start thinking too much about UPSC, that this is the toughest exam and this is and that. It is the toughest exam not because it asks the toughest questions. It is the toughest exam because competition is very high. ठीक है, उसलिए टफ है. इसलिए थोड़ी कि कुछ ऐसे चीज इकोनॉमिक्स में पूछ ले जो आज तक किसी को नहीं आया. ठीक है, ऐसा उसका पर्पस ही नहीं है. बिकॉज वी आर नॉट एक्सपर्ट्स है कि हम करेंसी के एक्सपर्ट हो गए. ऐसा एक्सपर्ट थोड़ी. हमें तो बस थोड़ा बहुत पता है कि हाउ थिंग्स आर वर्किंग, ओके, एट द like global level, at the domestic level. We just need to know about that. So be very practical in your approach, in your orientation. Paper is not very tough. Like topics are not very tough. Paper is tough because of the intensity of competition here. Seats are very few, applicants are so many. So you have to be, okay, the margin of error is less here. कि आप 20 questions करके आना है GS में, तो you have done only 15 questions, तो आपका margin of error बढ़ गया है. तो आपने that is not the done. ठीक है? Social media made the trend that exam is tough. नहीं. Social media led social media. Okay, because unless you sell these things, how will the TRP increase? Social media or whoever is saying this is tough, then who will go to those people? ठीक है, तभी तो वो बताएंगे ना इतना कॉम्प्लेक्स है, आंसर राइटिंग ऐसा होना चाहिए, ऐसा होना चाहिए, ओके दिस इज अ वेरी टफ थिंग, दिस इज नॉट ओके. दे मेक अस फील दैट वी आर स्टडिंग फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम, वी हैव नेवर गिवन एन एग्जाम इन द लाइफ. आपने हजारों एग्जाम देके यहाँ तक आए ना आज की डेट में. ओके, so ऐसा थोड़ी कि you don't know what exam is and how to write a paper or how to pass an exam. It's just a different paper, that is the thing. Otherwise, okay, you have all the background for it. Every one of us, we have given hundreds of exam in throughout our lives. We know how to write the exam, how to write the paper. वो basic instinct है हमारे अंदर. Okay, so let's not curb it. Let's build upon it. Whatever you know, all of us, we have gone through so much of years of academics, so much of exams. This is the thing. And don't treat exam as a very unachievable thing. UPSC कि बहुत tough है तो आपका क्या होगा? Then you will start doing things which are not even required. Just to give yourself the feel that now you are doing something which others would not be doing. Now I have got hold of a book which nobody would be having. I am reading a chapter which nobody would be reading. ऐसी चीज हमें करनी ही नहीं है. We have to read chapters which everyone is reading. Okay, we have to do things which everyone else is also doing. But we have to do it in a much better way. देखिए वही कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है, एक ही तो उसको आपने पढ़ के रख लिया, उसमें क्या आप अलग पढ़ेंगे? ओके, फॉर्मेट, इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज कैन बी डिफरेंट, फॉर्मेट कैन बी डिफरेंट, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन विल रिमेन द सेम, आर्टिकल्स विल रिमेन द सेम. ओके, जस्ट मेमोराइज इट, रीड इट 5 times. चीज तो सेम है, बट द डिफरेंस वुड लाई इन द एक्यूरेसी. Others who have read it for the one time, their accuracy level will be 20-30%. You have read it for 5 times, your accuracy level will be 80-90%. वो 2 क्वेश्चन करके आएगा, आप 10 क्वेश्चन करके आएंगे, it will make the difference. So things are same. Don't think that you have to do something extraordinary which others are not doing. You have to do everything what everyone else is doing, but in a much better way. Okay, वही बुक्स पढ़नी है उनको, आपको इतना कर लेना है कि वो बहुत अच्छे से हमने राइटिंग प्रैक्टिस सब कुछ किया हुआ है. Why I'm saying all these things is because definitions people don't take them seriously. We believe that why UPSC would ask such silly question or such simple question, what is balance of payments? Because if you see the previous year questions, one part of the question can be basic definition also. They may add something of current affairs or something to it later as a later part, but one part of the question will be what do you understand by BOP question mark, what is the India's current status in exports, imports, कुछ भी ऐसे करके वो पूछ सकते हैं. So if you will fumble in the most basic part, it will give a bad impression and you will lose your very easy marks there. So that is why definitions are there, they are asked and they should be learnt by you. You should be able to write them down if you are asked to explain that thing. And they make beautiful questions around the definitions in the PT also. Okay, so they would give you a statement that in the context of balance of payments, consider the following statements. Okay, which among the following statements are correct? First statement can be that the basic definition, it is a systematic record of transactions having with the outside world and all. Second statement can be that it records the transactions of the government only. Okay, it records the international transactions of the government alone. Would that be right thing? नहीं है, हमने बात की ना, we are recording the international transactions of the nation, not only of the government. So these are simple things. इसके around many people may get stuck here. They would think okay, it is yes, it records the transactions of the government because budget सब में हम government का करते हैं. यहाँ पे भी आपको लगेगा ऐसा like common sensical thing. So if you have not done the definitions properly and if you are not given enough thought to it, they can frame very good questions in the PT and they can give one such statement in which you can get stuck, right? So we should do definitions also in a proper way because they ask sometimes these things and basics should be on your tips. If I ask you something, definition, why I ask you what is fiscal deficit, you should explain it. I ask you what is current account deficit, you should have like definitions and all, they should be on your tips. So basics, like that is to be done very wonderfully. Basics and the application and the current affairs. This is what you have to do. You don't have to go for very high-fi concepts in this exam. You have to do your basics in a proper way. Do your basics properly and after that application of those basics, like appreciation, depreciation we have understood. Now application of that, imports getting costlier or exports getting cheaper or what will happen, whatever situation they make, we have to be prepared so that we can go for application also, and what is happening in the current affairs, what is the present status of rupee, if it is depreciating, why it is depreciating, if it is appreciating, why it is appreciating, and what are the advantage of internationalization of rupee, ऐसे करके कुछ आ जाएगा, वो current affair वाला चीज हो गया. This is how you have to go about it. Things are not very tough. I'm telling you, things are not, paper is not tough, and don't complexify things. Try to simplify things. सिंप्लीफाइड होना चाहिए. आपका माइंड क्लटर्ड नहीं होना चाहिए कि क्या करें क्या ना करें, आपको पता ही नहीं. आपको पता है कि ये बुक पढ़ लेनी है पूरी, वो सिंपल चीज है, ठीक है. लेकिन आपको ये लगेगा कि आई हैव टू रीड दिस और दैट, और ये पढ़े वो एडिट करें, वो दैट इज अ कॉम्प्लेक्स थिंग, बिकॉज ऑफ विच यू विल नॉट बी एबल टू कंप्लीट योर सिलेबस. लीव अलोन द रिविजन, यू विल नॉट बी एबल टू कंप्लीट द सिलेबस, एंड इफ योर सिलेबस इज नॉट कंप्लीटेड, forget about clearing the exam. Keep things simple, keep your practical targets, fulfill those targets, do it properly, do the boring things, okay, in a more, with a more, lot of energy. Boring things, जो लोग boring चीजें करते हैं, सक्सेस का यही फॉर्मूला है. Because exciting things everyone likes to do. Exciting thing क्या होता है? That you are bored, you have read something, now you want some new material on it, additional. That is an exciting thing because you are getting to know something new, something. Boring thing is what? You have read a book, you are again reading the same book, again reading the same book. Now that is a boring thing because already you know about it. But because indeed to clear the exam, you need to have good hold on those things. Those are the boring things. Writing is boring. Okay, thinking from mind and writing the answers is boring things. That is why. Okay, so try to do the boring things in a better way. That is the solution for. That is the success formula for. हर कोई, आप कोई भी देख लीजिए, स्पोर्ट्स देख लीजिए, कुछ भी देख लीजिए. People who are doing the boring things, जो जिम जा रहे हैं, प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं, रोज वही कर रहे हैं, इतना कर रहे हैं, ट्रेनिंग अपने फिटनेस पे ध्यान दे रहे हैं, वो बोरिंग चीजें हैं. गेम खेल लेना, जाके मैच खेल लिया, वो कर लिया, वो तो इंटरेस्टिंग चीजें हैं. बट बोरिंग थिंग्स, जो बोरिंग थिंग ज्यादा करते हैं वो मैच में अच्छा रिजल्ट देंगे, ठीक है. तो डू दी बोरिंग थिंग्स विद अ लॉट ऑफ एनर्जी. बोरिंग थिंग्स मतलब जिसको माइंड बोलता है ये क्या है, ये तो बार बार रोज करना है, ये करना है, विच पुट्स प्रेशर ऑन योर माइंड. एक्साइटिंग थिंग्स, दे मे बी एक्साइटिंग, बट दिस इज नॉट द पर्पज ऑफ द प्रिपरेशन हेयर. यू आर नॉट हेयर फॉर लेजर रीडिंग कि रोज मजा आए पढ़ के, ठीक है. यू आर नॉट हेयर फॉर दैट, यू आर हेयर फॉर क्लियरिंग द एग्जाम. So it should hurt you, okay, unless the practice is hurting you, that means you are not practicing enough. आपको दिक्कत होनी चाहिए, मतलब थोड़ा बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं. Okay, you should be troubled, and it happens with every, like you talk to any athlete, anyone who is preparing at a top level, they would never say that their practice or their training was okay a cakewalk or they enjoyed it. सब लोग बोलते हैं nobody wants to enjoy ट्रेनिंग, बट आपको करना पड़ता है बिकॉज वो आपको रिजल्ट लेना है. सो ट्रेनिंग शुड बी दैट टफ दैट इट शुड बी हर्टिंग यू टू सम एक्सटेंट. योर लाइफ शुड नॉट बी चिल्ड आउट. अगर आपको लगता है, if I ask you how is your life going on and you say my life is chilled out, okay, मजा आ रहा है, अच्छा लग रहा है, okay, इसका मतलब you are not preparing for the exam properly. It should not be chilled out. Your life should not be chilled out at this phase. Your life be chilled out when you will clear the exam, when you will write a wonderful exam. Then that will be the chilled out life, not around this time. अभी तो आपको बहुत troubled होना चाहिए, आपके पास फुर्सत नहीं होनी चाहिए, आपको होना चाहिए कि लाइफ में कुछ टाइम नहीं बचा है किसी और चीज के लिए. That is how. So please write the definition. BUP. BUP. The balance of payments is defined as a systematic record BUP is defined as a systematic record of all the economic transactions of a nation defined as the systematic record of all the economic transactions of a nation with the outside world. Economic transactions of a nation with the outside world in a given year. Outside world in a given year. First off, the transactions here transactions here means the transactions of the government. The transactions here means the transactions of the government as well as private entities. Transactions of the government as well as private entities. Full stop. Next point. The BOP records are prepared by the central banks of every country. The balance of payment record. The BOP records are prepared by the central banks of every country as per the format central banks of every country as per the format given in IMF's International Monetary Fund's IMF's BPM 6 manual, as per the format given in IMF's International Monetary Fund's BPM 6 manual. So BOP record is prepared by the central bank. Like in case of us, it is the RBI which makes the BOP. Next point, all the figures in BOP balance of payments BOP are expressed in USD, US dollars. Okay, so this is the balance of payments definition. So what are we recording? Any money which comes in, any money which goes out, it is recorded in the balance. If something is happening domestically, it will not be recorded in the balance of payment. It should be a cross-border transaction. We are receiving something or something is going out. This is recorded here. Okay, balance of payments. So an incoming money is added up in the calculation. Though we don't have to do the calculation, but we have to read sometimes. So inflows are added up because वो तो पैसा आ रहा है, dollars आ रहे हैं. So if through whichever means they are coming in, even if it is coming through loans, so when you're taking the loan, international loan, those dollars are coming in, so it will be a positive entry. When something is going out, then it will be treated as negative entry. Okay? हाँ. Balance of payment manual. 6 means 6th edition. So now I will write the components of the BOP. So it is a systematic record. So this is a systematic way of doing that. So we'll talk about components of BOP. For that, I will make a chart here, which will be horizontally placed like this. So you can draw it on a fresh page. Okay, like preferably in a horizontal way like this. Components of components of balance of payments. So we have this current account, visibles, we have exports and imports of merchandise goods. Invisibles we have services, investment incomes and transfers. Investment incomes like dividends, interests, etc. Transfers like in the form of donations. Remittances, etc. So these are the major components of the balance of payments. So we have this current account divided into visibles and invisibles. Visibles, we have exports and imports of merchandise goods. In pink I have written net. Invisibles net is services, investment incomes net, for example dividends, interest, etc. Then we have transfers in the form of donations, remittances, etc. Then capital account, we have investments in the form of FDI, FPI. Then we have loans, government loans, ECB. ECB, I'll talk about that later. Okay, just write ECB there. After that, banking capital, which is NRI accounts. Then we have foreign exchange reserves as the third, and there we show the change. By net, yes, net means inflows minus outflows. Wherever we have written net, that means inflows minus outflows. We'll talk about that, just write it down. Okay. So we were talking about that BOP is a systematic record of transactions. So any transaction which happens with the outside world would either be recorded in the current account. Current account means first with current account entries, then we have capital account entries. So in the current account, so any transaction that we have with the outside world, either it would be recorded in the current account or it would be recorded in the capital account. And this is a very often asked question in your PT. They give you these entries: FDI, FPI, dividends, interest, donation, remittance, government loans, and then they will ask you which among the following will be recorded in the current account or will be recorded in the capital account. So you should have the conceptual clarity about which kind of transactions would be recorded where. And this is an easy question which is very often asked in the PT especially. They would ask you these things. So for that, so any transaction that we have with the outside world will be either recorded in the current account or it will be a capital account related transaction. And the resultant of these two transactions, transact means inflows and outflows. So after this current account and capital account transaction, the resultant would be either you are the net receiver of foreign exchange at the end of the year, so it will add up in the foreign exchange reserve, your reserves will increase by that extent. Or after all these transactions, you may be a net loser of foreign exchange. In that case, your reserves are going to decline by that extent. The reserves would decline. Fine. So in the reserves, we show the net result, but transactions are recorded in the current account and capital account. So now let's start with capital account first. That what kind of transactions we record in the capital account from here. I'll dictate all these things later. You can make some running notes if you want. So capital account, talking about the capital account. So the capital account here, the capital account records the cross-border flow of capital. Okay, so here we are recording cross-border means if the capital has come in or capital has gone out. So this cross-border movement of capital, they are recorded in the capital account. That's why the name has been given capital account. Capital means cross-border flow of capital is recorded in the capital account. And what is capital in very simple words? It is the funds. Capital means what? Cross-border movement of funds. ठीक है, सारे सब पैसे को कैपिटल नहीं बोलते थे, मतलब पर्पस के हिसाब से भी डिफाइन है दैट money which has come through. So the capital means what? Capital means funds, and funds are used for growth and expansion. So capital. So we are saying in the capital account we record the cross-border flow of capital. Okay, then we are receiving the capital or capital is moving out. Cross-border movement of capital is recorded here, and capital can be raised in two ways, or capital is of two types: debt capital and equity. Debt capital and equity capital. So let's start from the debt capital first. So when we talk about the capital, what does it mean? Capital simply means the funds which are required for growth and expansion by any entity. Suppose I have a company and I want to expand my company. For that I require funds or require capital. So the capital which I require, it may be raised in two ways. Okay, like it can be either debt capital or it can be the equity capital. So what is debt capital? As the name says here, if you have raised the funds through borrowings, then it is called as debt capital. So you can write it here. Okay. The capital which is raised through borrowings is called as debt capital. Which is raised through borrowings is called as debt capital. Raised through borrowings. For example, what are the ways through which you can raise the debt capital? Loans or by issuing not shares, bonds. By taking a loan, suppose I have a company, I want to raise capital. For that I want to raise debt capital. Debt capital means I want to go for borrowing. So capital which is raised through borrowings is called as debt capital. And for that I can take a loan from some bank or some other institution. I can take a loan. Okay. So that is called as loan. Or I can also issue bonds. We have done the chapter on bonds in the class. क्लास में नहीं किया bonds. well आप करेंगे उसको डिटेल में. Okay, you'll have a chapter on bonds, but for those, if everyone knows what bonds is, ठीक है, अच्छी बात. Bond मतलब bond is an instrument through which you can raise debt. Suppose I have a company. Bond is what? Bond is a certificate that I have taken a loan of 100 rupee. So I will issue a bond of 100 rupee. कि मैंने इस पे लिख दिया कि I have taken a loan of 100 rupee at 10% interest for 10 years. So this is called as bond. So हमने bond issue कर दिया. Whoever purchases this bond will become a bond holder. He will give the 100 rupee to me, to the company. Fine. So this is like company. So when they issue the bonds, they are called as corporate bonds. When the government issues it, it is called as government security. Or the treasury bills, like short term के लिए, if it is for short term, it is called treasury bill. If it is for long term, it is called as government security. So when the government is doing it, it is called as government security or treasury bill. When it is done by the corporates like Reliance Industry or Tata Motors or कोई भी ठीक है, कोई भी अगर ऐसा करे तो they will be called as corporate bonds. Bond is a way of raising debt. So capital which you raise through the borrowings is called as debt capital. So, and in this capital, the person who is giving or the entity which is giving you the loan, they would not become a partner in your company. They are just the lenders. हाँ. इसमें आईपीओ में बॉन्ड में अभी करेंगे, आईपीओ यहाँ पे करेंगे. आईपीओ आप शेयर होल्डिंग डाइल्यूट करते हो अपनी, आप अपने शेयर्स बेचे. प्रोमोटर्स जो हैं दे आर डाइल्यूटिंग देयर शेयर्स. सो वो आईपीओ अभी हम करेंगे. व्हेन विल टॉक अबाउट इक्विटी, विल टॉक अबाउट आईपीओ. तो बॉन्ड्स, आईपीओ एक इक्विटी कैपिटल रेज करता है कि आपने अपना, यू हैव सोल्ड योर शेयर्स, अगेंस्ट दैट यू हैव रेज्ड द कैपिटल, दैट इज इक्विटी. द पर्सन हु परचेजेस योर शेयर्स, ही बिकम्स अ शेयर होल्डर इन योर कंपनी. हियर व्हेन यू आर इशूइंग द बॉन्ड्स, बॉन्ड्स कोई शेयर्स नहीं है. बॉन्ड्स तो आपने बस लिख के दे दिया दैट in very simple term that it is, I'm selling this 100 rupee bond for 10%. Whoever wants to purchase this bond, in a way he becomes a lender to my company. Whoever purchases the bond, they don't become the investor in the company, they become lender to the company, and the company becomes borrower to them. ठीक है, तो सिंपल है. Okay, just a minute. Okay, you can add one more thing here, that it does not dilute the owner's shareholding. It does not dilute the owner's shareholding. This is the thing. So we'll wind it up here because it will require some explanation here. Equity capital, we'll talk about IPO, FPO, everything here in the next class. Okay, keep reading the newspapers for better understanding of macroeconomy. Okay then, take care, bye bye online people.